your A-plus game still might not be good enough to beat Georgia. That's how good they are. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you having a great week. Hope all of you having a great day. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. And I got good and great news. Normally it's good and bad news, but not today. Good and great news. Which one do you want first? The good news is we got college football tonight. We got Coach Prime Time in Colorado versus North Dakota State. That's going to be an exciting matchup for obvious reasons. And the great news is this is the first official outside of week 0 preview of the 2024 college football season. These videos during the year are a staple of the channel. You guys love them. I love making it. It's a win-win. The premise of this video is simple. We're going to preview the Georgia and Clemson matchup. And since this is a big-time top 15 matchup, this will be the only game we're previewing in this video. If you are curious when is the full week 1 prediction / preview coming out, it may be later tonight, so stay tuned. We got a bunch of different games we got to talk about, including where College Game Day is at, Texas A&M and Notre Dame. There's many more notable matchups. You got LSU, USC, you got Miami, Florida, and it goes on and on. But in this video, it's just going to be Georgia and Clemson. And let me pull it up. I have no idea what the line is. Hold on. Okay, Georgia is a 13.5-point favorite. I would say, yeah, that sounds about right. This is 11 a.m. kickoff if you're Central Time Zone like myself. If you're on the East Coast, 12 p.m., you know how it works. There's many places you could start with this, but I just want to throw something right now. I love this Georgia football team. I love their program. I love Kirby Smart. I love everything about them. It is a great time to be a Georgia football fan. I love previewing their games for the simple fact, when I predict they're going to go out here, play great defense, run the ball good, and dominate their opponent, and they go out there and do it, it makes me look like a genius, but in reality, I'm not a genius. It's just Georgia's an outstanding football team, and like I said, you know what to expect. Did Georgia lose some players on their defense? Yeah, but wake up and smell the flowers, buddy. That happens every year for teams like Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, etc., etc. Georgia reminds me so much of Bama. They're Bama 2.0, and I know some people are going to take that as disrespect, but I don't mean it that way. I'm not trying to throw shade. That's a compliment. There was this saying about Alabama years and years and years ago, and they still do it, and it's what Georgia's doing now. They don't rebuild, they reload. Remember when they won that first championship a couple years ago and they lost all those key defensive players? Everybody was saying, oh yeah, heading into the next year, there's no way the defense is that good. They lost so many players. And the year after, the defense was better. Georgia's always going to be a great defensive football team as long as Kirby Smart's the head coach. You better believe that. Getting that out the way, another reason I love to be a Georgia fan is because now there's no question marks about your quarterback. Ever since Kirby Smart got there, the only position he couldn't figure out was the quarterback position. It was always questionable. Even when Bennett had the really good year, his final year there, you weren't extremely confident in the quarterback play. Well, now you got one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. He'll probably be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, if not the first overall pick. He's got a great shot at winning the Heisman Trophy, Mr. Carson Beck. I'm not going to sit up here and hype him up too much because if you saw him last year, you know what to expect. Running backs, it's Georgia. They're going to be fine. I know they do have some slight problems with ETN and another guy's banged up, but like I said, Georgia, great running back play. Where I'm going with this is Georgia is Georgia. You see that number 1 ranking next to her name? It's not by mistake. They are the best of the best. They are the elite of the elite. Period. The end. If I can keep things short and simple, that's what I like to do. Let's talk about Clemson. This is where things get complicated. I sat up here and told you for a couple minutes why I love previewing and predicting Georgia games. Why do I? Because they're easy to predict. I know what to expect. With Clemson, and dare I say this new version of Clemson we've seen in the past couple of years, you don't know what you're going to get. I think they could beat anybody in the country, but at the same time, I think they could dang near lose to anybody in the country. They have been so up and down. Dabo Swinney, I've said before, I'm going to say it again, he's a dinosaur. The game has completely passed him by, but I'm not going to talk about that too much. As far as it goes for Clemson as a team, I'm asking you guys, as Clemson fans watching this video, Georgia fans, college football fans, what do you think is going to happen? You can make two legit cases in the argument that number 1, Clemson goes into that game, they give Georgia a run for their money, they play outstanding, and number 2, Clemson goes into the game and they just wet the bed and get beat by 40. Both of those things could happen. And that's the problem with Clemson. You just don't know what you're going to get. Their defense for the longest has been their saving grace and strong suit, and I still expect the defense to be pretty solid. On the flip side, off of their offense, it's been their kryptonite these past couple of years, dating back to DJ Oogabadoogie. They can't figure it out. I thought they were going to figure it out last year when they brought in Not Lincoln Riley. What's his name? Is his coordinator? Oh my gosh. It's his brother, Garrett Riley, right? If it's not Garrett Riley, I know his last name's Riley. If it's first name's not Garrett, I do apologize. They brought him in. He was supposed to change the offense, be this step in the right direction, but that didn't happen. Clemson just can't move the ball down the field. I don't know what has happened. It's so bizarre seeing it, especially dating back to the Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence days. And it's so crazy because I've seen people now stating that, well, I don't think Dabo was that great of a head coach. He just got bailed out by a great quarterback play. And, you know, there's a fair argument for that. Speaking of quarterback play, I guess we got to talk about him. He is one of the big X factors in this game. Cade Klubnik. Seems like a great kid. Wish him the best of luck, but he has been highly disappointing. What was his numbers last year? I'm actually curious. Let's pull him up. Okay, last year he had 2,800 passing yards, 19 touchdowns, and 9 INTs. QBR 55. That ranks 80th in the country. For a team like Clemson, that's bad. Pretty much, you had an average quarterback last year. Clemson, last time I checked, the standard isn't average. This was a team that was competing for a championship every single year almost. Last year, Clemson, they started the season 0-1 with an embarrassing loss to Duke 28-7, and they started out the year 4-4. They did pick it up there at the end, but it was all too little, all too late. The funny thing about this game is a lot of your casuals would think Georgia has all the pressure on them, right? Number 1 team in the country. Clemson's the 14th ranked team in the country. They have nothing to lose. But, I have a really big but, you better believe this. However, with that being said, I think it's the other way around. I think Clemson has all the pressure on them. Let me explain. Georgia has won 2 championships. They know they're a top dog. They're extremely confident. They're not going to feel pressure. The team that's feeling pressure is Clemson because everyone's telling them these past couple of years how bad they've been. They need a big-time win. Dabo, he's not on the hot seat, but he's feeling the heat. It's a big mess over there. Clemson needs to win this game more than Georgia needs to win this game. Granted, if Georgia loses, it's going to be a storyline, but nobody's going to say or question Kirby Smart's job security and say this Georgia team's falling off. That's not going to be a conversation. But if Clemson loses this game by, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, by 20, 30 points, everybody's going to be talking about how terrible the program is and how terrible Dabo is now. And that would worry me if I'm a Clemson fan, just due to the fact this is almost, it's not a must win, but you got to feel like for the program, it kind of is. I don't think Clemson can stop Georgia's offense. Maybe they can. One of those things I guess we'll have to wait and see, but I'd be shocked if they hold them to under 24, 28 points. I don't think Carson Beck's going to have a problem, not even to the slightest, picking apart this Clemson defense. And it's not because I think the Clemson defense is bad. I think it's because Carson Beck's that good and the Georgia offense is severely underrated. So with that being said, that now means the only way Clemson even has a fighting chance is if they can score a bunch of points on the Georgia defense, which it's kind of a hard thing to do. Can Cade Klubnik play great? Yes. Can the Clemson offense play great? Yes. Here's the biggest question. Will they? When you look at Georgia's recent losses in the past couple of years, who has it been to? Alabama. And the one way Alabama has had extreme success against this Georgia defense is throwing the ball downfield. Another way Alabama has succeeded against Georgia was winning the line of scrimmage. I'm talking about the offensive line bullied Georgia's defensive line, and on the flip side of the ball, Alabama's front seven bullied Georgia's offensive line. If you want to even compete against Georgia, bare minimum, you got to break even when it comes to the line of scrimmage. If you want a good chance to win, you got to win the line of scrimmage. The problem for all these teams that have went up against Georgia in these past 3 years is they haven't even come close to winning the line of scrimmage. I say all that to say this. If you can win the trenches and you can throw the ball downfield, I'm not talking about 15-yard passes. I'm talking about 35, 40, 45-yard bombs. That's the recipe to success. I rarely talk about this in these videos, but you're also going to have some luck on your side. Remember last year in the SEC Championship, Alabama was on third down. They had a catch that actually, come to find out, it hit the ground, but they never reviewed it. Clemson's going to have something like that go their way. I'm not necessarily saying the ref's got to miss a call, but you need some luck. And I hate saying the word luck because I think it's more so of when preparation meets opportunity. I'd much rather say, let's do this. You need the ball to bounce your way. You need Georgia to miss maybe 1 or 2 field goals. Maybe Georgia fumbles a snap. Something like that. Yeah, Georgia did that last year. Come to think about it, they had a fumble and Alabama picked it up. Georgia is to that level that Alabama was at in the early 2010s. Your A-plus game still might not be good enough to beat Georgia. That's how good they are. You're going to have to play your A-plus game, like I said, and hope and pray to God that Georgia shoots themselves in the foot a couple different times. You need Georgia to help you out, and I think a better way of saying this is you need Georgia to beat Georgia. I know what you're sitting here saying, Matt, you need Georgia to beat Georgia. Did you mean to say Clemson? No. You need Georgia to beat themselves. That's how you beat Georgia. Last but not least, your X factor outside of the trenches is Cade Klubnik. You need him to play flawless and go something like 23 for 30 with 300 passing yards and 2 to 3 touchdowns. Something along those lines. As far as it goes for my prediction, let me ask you a question. Why in the world would I pick Clemson to win this game? Genuine question, and same thing for you. Why would you? Not to say that they won't win, it's college football, baby. Clemson could win this game, but picking them makes 0 sense. Way too many things would have to go wrong for Georgia and right for Clemson to win this game. So you know where I'm going with this. I got Georgia winning this game, and I'm going to say, Georgia 35, Clemson, let's go 20. I like that 35-20. There's many more things I could say. We'll end off the video here. Let me know your thoughts down below. But